Alrighty, folks. So we're doing something a little bit different today. I want to kind of walk you through how I would go about practicing, what is going through my head, what kind of process am I trying to figure out in order to, you know, continue throughout the rest of the race, maybe be competitive, just depending on where we're at. This week we are at Indy in the Cup Series, so the next gen car, and I am going to try my best to run the Brickyard 400. Schedule is really tight, so we're going to see if we can get it done. But I don't have time to do a specific race, so I'm going to come out here and try and practice and see what that looks like and kind of take you along the ride with me. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to look at doing some initial laps, get a feel for the car, figure out what it's doing without looking at any data. And then after we put in some laps, we're going to jump over into Garage 61 and see what some faster folks are doing, what can we learn, what can we get out of that, and then see what are we actually capable of doing. And then after we do that, we're going to come back out and see if we can put together some decent laps. So I'm going to take you out here on this first initial run and see what we can do. I actually meant to show you something. So before we even get started, we have made no changes to the setup at all. Normal steering pinion, steering offset, and brakes, all that is what it comes stock. So I just want to see what is the car actually doing. There's never any notes in these setups, but we're gonna hop out here and just get a feel for it. I just want to see, is this going to be all over the place? Is this like really steady? The goal is just to get a feel. So we're gonna turn up our audio, that way I can actually hear what's going on here. That should be good. There's a rule that you can't exit pit road early. Not that big of a deal, but it's there. We got somebody behind us, so I'm not necessarily looking to race, but if we want to get a feel of like what the draft is going to feel like, he could be a helpful indicator. So,
inside.
This is why we come out here and we test
clear.
stuff, because you just saw that I completely locked up. Our brakes are not calibrated, so we're going to come to pit road and get that fixed and then come back out here. Alrighty, so we are back out here, just trying to get a feel for the car, see where we're at, and I'm assuming that I drove in way too deep there, but it seemed to stick really well and hold on surprisingly. So I'm trying to drive it kind of how I remember last time we ran Indy. Really, I don't want to get in there super fast on corner entry. We want to back up just a little bit. I don't know if we're going to want to shift or not. It is tight, so we scraped the wall there.
Low one on the bottom.
But through two, there's a higher arc.
Low one on the bottom. I don't
That
know
seems
what
to be a little
Adam's
bit
doing.
faster. So you don't want to get like a low entry. You really want to open up your entry going into 2 and 4. So we're going to see if we can handle that. Just trying to get a feel for it. We'll probably run about 10 laps here. See where it's at. Got a good little run there on exit.
.037.
Little high. Getting a little loose. I'm gonna come down here and pick up some draft. Feel what it's like in dirty air. It's a little wanting to like snap. bad push there. Just did not want to settle in. Probably me being on the throttle too long.
53.815. Doing a good job. You're doing a good job.
Gonna try downshifting, see what that does for us. He's gonna park it. Well, we didn't really learn much in that draft besides that dirty air is massive. But it's better to know it and feel it than to not. Well, we were able to hang on to it. Too much wheel, I guess, and too much slide. Interesting.
54.196.
We were able to survive that. We're running slower by downshifting, and the car feels just a little snappy. And I don't quite know if we're running slower because of the downshift or because our tires are a little bit worn. Let's do a lap of no shifting. Maybe shifting there. Well, no, because we're going to run a faster lap here. So we don't really want to shift. We're not going faster shifting. Really high. Did not get a good entry, and that kind of just set us up for a slow exit there.
.889.
Oh, we got snappy loose.
Got the toe knocked out of it. That's up our...
Well,
Earl, please try to get a look at the front end to see if it's fucked up or not. Looks that way.
I tried to push it more than what was necessary.
Reduced air, I might slow you down on the strikes.
So let's go ahead and bring that. We got 6 laps in. We'll look at lap times. Our last lap we ran a little bit slower, but we could run a 53.8. Let's hope over to Garage 61 and see what other people are doing. Figure out what might be helpful. If I had to take a guess where we would initially find speed is in the center of the corner here. I think we could be a little less on the brakes. Or not center, but like just this little peak right here. I think we could probably be a little bit less and get a little bit more speed going into the corner, and maybe a little bit more steering angle to make up for that difference, just to get us rotated. And I would probably say I believe that is 3, right? Yeah, because this is the start finish line, right? Yep. I think that we're braking appropriately. I don't know, that's kind of my guess. I really don't know what we're about to see. So we're going to go in here to configure. All right, so we set up a couple of filters here. We made it required for a fixed setup and then changed our track condition to have the appropriate temperature out there. So we are looking for around 119-ish degrees. To me, that's the most important thing to keep in consideration is your track temp. So we're looking, it doesn't look like Jack's lap is available, but Ricky's at a 52.8 is. So we're going to go ahead and select his lap and apply it and see what he's doing and what maybe we can learn from that. So we're going to click Analyze, and we see, let me zoom out just a little bit. We're going to look around the track. Are we doing anything wildly different? So we had about the same entry and apex in the corner. He looks like he's getting a little bit wider than we are, so maybe coming out to the wall. And then the biggest difference here, looks like he's got a little bit of a cut down. He runs a tighter line out of 2, so that's something to keep in mind. And then he comes a little bit wider out than we do. And then we get down here, and one day we'll get there. What I'm seeing, a little bit neater entry into 3, sort of the same exit, and then same thing, tighter apex in 4, and then basically the same thing. So it's helpful to me to first look to see, are we running the same line? And there's a little bit of a difference. But if we aren't running the same line, then it's going to be a little bit difficult for us to learn much from the data. Seeing where we're at here, I was kind of correct, and we're going to be braking a little bit less towards the end, but he has a higher initial peak, so he's about 40%, and we're about 19-ish%. So we got a little bit more braking we can get out of it. And then sort of the same thing, again, aiming for about 40%, and we were shooting for about 18. So I'm kind of rolling into the brakes on entry. He's kind of, punching the pedal for a split second and then tapering off. It looks like he is shifting. Am I reading that correctly? Yeah, he does shift down to 4th gear. So maybe that's helping him run a little bit of a tighter line. Throttle's very similar, except for, where he's downshifting and whatnot. Steering angles are relatively similar. So he was able to make this lap with shifting. I just don't know. And he runs, for the most part, in 4th gear throughout the lap, and just a little bit in 5th gear. So it's helpful to see that. I'm really curious if we're going to be able to get that. He's running a little bit higher RPMs throughout the corner, and just overall just carries more speed. So we'll see what we can do. He looks like, just like a very similar entry, maybe a little bit less into 3 with the steering angle. Okay, well, I think that I've gotten what I can out of this. I think that for the most part, this makes sense. We'll see if we can make anything happen with it, and then maybe come back and look at telemetry. I'm going to go try and run some laps and see if I can figure it out, just because I don't want to make this a super long video. So I'm going to go out there and run some laps. If there's any highlights, obviously we'll come back, but I'll see you whenever we come back to look at the lap. Alrighty, folks, so we're back here at the telemetry. We're gonna see what's going on here. So I did a couple of laps, and I felt like we are still, like, there's time out there for us to get. We are currently, our fastest lap is a 53.6. I am really coming to the realization that Ricky ran in the draft. I don't think there's any realistic way for me to be able to get that much speed in comparison, but I think what we are learning is that there is definitely opportunity for us to gain some speed. I see that he's running significantly faster in the center of the corner. And I think part of that is his braking. He doesn't quite hit the lowest that we do, but I'm struggling to see how he's able to get it to do that. I feel like we are so similar in what we're doing with minus the brakes, right? Like I have a hill here. He's definitely like tapering. I mean, I can definitely try and see if we can be more intentional with this braking curve, because we just kind of ride the brake for a few seconds, and then that is how we are getting or losing so much speed, is that we're braking more than he is. But I'm really struggling to get it to do that and not immediately plow. Like the entry just doesn't happen, and I'm looking at his like braking down, or I'm looking at his steering input down here, and he's turning less than we are while carrying more speed and braking less. Like the logic isn't quite computing for me. Maybe I'm missing something, but he's able to get to full throttle a little bit sooner than we are, and that's definitely helping him carry more speed, especially whenever we're in the center of this corner. And then we kind of have the same exit of 2 here, and we kind of match each other there. I am losing a little bit of speed with my shifting. Not really sure why, but we are. I guess I should be blipping the throttle instead of clutching and using that, but I can definitely see if that is a big factor that's like hurting us. Whenever we get into 3 and 4, again, same issue with the braking. I am holding the brake and he is like punching it and immediately like tapering off. I mean, if you look at the brake curve, it's almost identical for me. I think it's me who's doing it, and I need to just like taper a little bit more, like punch it and then let it go. I am looking at steering input, and again, he is like steering less than we are overall. He gets a little bit loose, and he makes a slight correction, but I mean, he's not doing anything that we aren't doing in the steering department besides right here. He gets a little bit more wheel input, but I again don't think that's where he's getting the 8/10 on us throughout this lap. But what I'm going to do is go out there and practice a little bit more to see if we can match this peak speed. I think that there's still some left in it, specifically around the braking point. We're braking in basically the same spot, so that's not the issue. So we'll see if we can get a little bit more out of it. I'm going to show you all the laps here. I'm struggling for consistency. And, I can run these like quicker, 53.6 laps, which are, really not that quick, especially if we're looking at overall times. Again, these potentially could be in a draft. And if they are, then like we're never going to get there, right? But overall consistency is not super great. We spun, which is us right here. Just a little bit too much wheel in it on exit, and it just started to snap on us. So this is a challenging combination. It's not an easy one, and then I just kept gassing it up like a goober. And then continue to run on those tires. Let's look at what the tires are. So I'm really confused by the breakdown here. Left sides notoriously wear less. I have not ran the next gen. I don't know enough about it this season, but left sides are wearing about, if not more, than the right side. So, we're seeing 79, 78 wear back here, 81 wear there. So left rear is wearing more than the right rear, which doesn't make a ton of sense to me. And then, left front is wearing a good bit, but we're still wearing more on the right front. Anybody have an answer to why the left rear is wearing so much? Like, am I doing something weird? Am I not making this doesn't make sense to me. So if anybody has an answer to that, I would be curious to hear it. But I'm gonna go run some more laps and see if we can get any faster, specifically on braking. Probably just gonna do a couple, and then I'm gonna kind of wrap this video up because I just don't feel like practicing much longer. I've already been at it for about 45 minutes, so we'll go ahead and do that, and then we'll come back. All right, so I think there is the possibility that you can get really close to a 52 without draft. I think that our optimal was a 53.1. This is a 53.2 something. A lot better. We get really low here on the center of one, right up to the wall ish on exit, and then we get a good entry here into 2 on exit of 2. I was really trying to make sure that I was matting it as much as I could, riding down the back stretch, just a lane off the wall, just so we're not getting any of that slow down effect. The shift here, we could have gotten a little bit lower. It just didn't quite get down to the corner like I wanted. And then here, we got pretty good. We got down to the white line. I felt really good. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna push this next lap hard and see what we can do. And we were up a good bit, almost 2/10 coming through 1 and 2 here. So really good on the brakes there. We get down into 1, nice and neat. Like trying as much as I can, full throttle. We were rolling with partial throttle through 2 here, just trying to keep the RPMs up. And I was pushing really hard on exit here, like full throttle, a good chunk of that. A lot more wheel in it, trying to just keep it turned. And that's going to come down here and bite us. So got it to rotate a little bit, but then we were pretty tight and it just spit us out. Didn't let us keep it. And then obviously I just left it full throttle because I am done practicing for today. I think that we made some progress there as much as we could. It was actually a 53.3. My bad. I misread the 2 in that number. So we made some progress. Still room for improvement. I'm going to look over here at the Garage 61, see if we can see our now best lap. And maybe we'll be able to... Is this it? Yep. So we're going to add that. Delete this lap. Move them so the red is consistent and we don't get confused. So peaking way higher on the brakes here. So maybe what I could benefit from is adjusting our brake bias and figuring that out a little bit. We matched them on entry this time, but then we ended up slowing down more than he did, about 7 miles per hour through the center. I believe that's where we're at, right? Yeah, in the center. So still, we could find some more pace in the middle here. It looks like we're just not getting to a throttle fast enough. So I think just my inexperience with the next gens, I just don't know enough of it. So there's still some speed to gain here. Really into 1, that's where our speed is to gain. We're pretty consistent throughout the rest of the lap. I mean, where we gained on him here, overall it kind of met, and we could just be a little bit quicker through here. Just overall, about 2 miles per hour off. So I think overall I feel good about where we're at. It's a good start. This is the thing. Trying to run this fast of a lap is not going to be viable long run. What's going to end up happening in this race is that, like, sure, I may not have the speed in like a final restart maybe compared to other people. But if I don't work on our consistency, we're not even going to make it to lap 10. I mean, the longest run we ran was a 10-lap run, and then I ended up wrecking. So like there's some consistency that we need to work on to make sure that we're going to be viable for the Brickyard. So that's going to be this video. I hope y'all got a different perspective of what we do, you know, matching some of the in-game work and matching it up to the data, the telemetry in Garage 61. Really interesting to see y'all's perspectives on this. Did you enjoy this video? Did you dislike it? What are your thoughts? I would love to know. But if you could, go ahead and leave a like, comment, subscribe, do all the things. I'll see you in the next one.